Hi everyone, Grandmaster Ben Finegold here. Tomorrow I'm flying to St. Louis because I'm going to do a couple of things. From June 5th to 9th, I'm going to teach a chess camp there. I think Eric Hansen is the other chess teacher at the camp. We'll probably have like 35 kids. Then from the 10th to the 30th of June, I'll be the resident GM, so I'll be doing the usual. And then I'll make videos, I guess 3 or 4 times a week. Hopefully Ben Simon will record them. And if you go to the Chess Club and Scholastic Center of St. Louis's YouTube page, where I already have over 100 videos, and they have over, I think, 1,100 from everybody, I should be making, I would guess, maybe 10 or 11 in June. It usually takes them 3 or 4 days to put it up. So probably between June 13th and July 5th, you'll see a lot of videos of me on the Chess Club website. I'll continue to make some videos here, but from my hotel room. And then at the end of June, while I'm the resident Grandmaster, I'll also be teaching another chess camp. So I got 2 chess camps this month in St. Louis. So if you live in the St. Louis area and you have a child who's between the ages of 5 and 12 and rated under 1,200, you can give the chess club some money. Okay, this game that I'm showing you today was played in 1994 against a Michigan master named Dennis Seawald, who was about 22, 40. And I've known Dennis for a long time. I think we've only played 3 or 4 tournament games. He beat me once when I was white, actually. I played the opening and the middle game wrong, so I lost. Anyway, this was a game that I won in a very sharp Sicilian. This was an unusual tournament. It was the Motor City Open. And a little bit of trivia for you guys at home. The doctor who delivered me when I was born is also a chess player. He's not alive anymore. But he was about an A player, and he was an organizer also, and he actually organized the Motor City Open until he died. And it's still being held. It's over Thanksgiving weekend. So if you've played chess on Thanksgiving weekend, you've probably played in either the National Chess Congress in Philadelphia, the American Open, I guess, is in Los Angeles. I think that's the one over Thanksgiving. And the Motor City Open in Detroit has been happening for over 50 years, and I think he organized over 30 of them. Anyway, the point of the story is this was played in the Motor City Open, but this was after he died, so this was 1994. I think he died in 88 or 89, something like that. But I played in many tournaments. Not only did he organize, he directed some of them. And his name was Howard Gaba, and he was a very famous chess player in Michigan, and I think he's in the Hall of Fame, Michigan Chess Hall of Fame. Okay, so one of the funny things about the Motor City Open is there's huge prizes, but normally Michigan doesn't get a lot of grandmasters. So in this particular event, there were 2 international masters, myself and a guy named Boris Men, who either doesn't live in the U.S. anymore or stopped playing. I'm not sure which. He lived in Cleveland at the time. And we were the only 2 players rated over 2450 USCF, and first prize was $2,000. So it was pretty good prizes for not so many good players. Okay, I played a Sicilian, and I've had this position many times and in a lot of our videos. And here, White plays either Bishop G5, the Rouser, or Bishop C4, the Sozin. I've shown you guys games in both. My opponent played Bishop C4, which is the Sozin, a favorite of Fischer. In fact, many people call it the Fischer-Sozin, because who the heck was Sozin? Okay, now E6 is the main move, and I've shown you guys games where I've played E6. But I also play Queen B6, and the main idea is just to take my opponent out of theory and kick his knight off of D4. And White has many moves here. The most common is Knight B3, but almost every legal move has been played here that doesn't hang a piece. My opponent played Knight E2, which I think maybe I faced one other time. And the idea actually is to run around to the king side and try to attack over here. And the idea behind Queen B6 attacking the knight is if the knight goes to B3, which is the most normal move, then the bishop can't go to B3, which is where it usually sits once black threatens to attack it with, knight E5 or knight A5 or A6 B5 or rook C8. The bishop sits pretty well on B3, so knight B3 usually means the white bishop is going back to E2 later. Okay, so now he has B3 for his bishop. And he castled a6, bishop back to b3. And bishop g5 is an unusual move. I think normally they play knight g3 here, and they try to play knight h5, although I don't really play this line anymore, so I'm not sure. Okay, bishop g5, and I play knight e5. Obviously, he can't play f4 attacking my knight because of the pin. So maybe my queen's not so bad on b6. Okay, knight g3. Now, the idea behind knight e5 is if my knight does go to g6, I usually like having my knights on g6 and f6. If you've watched my videos, you know that. Then I can play h6 attacking his bishop, and my knight on g6 stops his bishop from retreating to a couple of squares. Okay, knight g3 finally. h6. And now, obviously, if he plays bishop h4, his bishop has nowhere to go, so I could play g5, for example. Okay, so he took. And now, normally I would take with the bishop, I guess. And then finally, the idea of this knight e2 comes to fruition. He plays knight h5, and, well, I can't lose my g-pawn. So he's going to take my bishop anyway. I'll mess up my pawns. So I just took with the pawn, I believe. The game was played 1994. Okay. I don't really mind doing that. My king is pretty safe in the center because I have a lot of stuff in front of it. I can castle either direction still. And with all my pawns on the third rank, hedgehog style, I defend all the squares on the fourth rank. So my opponent can't really do very much. Okay, and he played a4, which I don't think is a very good move. Bishop to d7, played rook e1, rook g8. I decided not to castle kingside, but instead use the g file. And this is a nice, what I want to call an American position, because it's very unlikely to lead to a draw. And when you play an American Swisses, you don't really want to have 2 wins and 4 draws, because then you'll tie for 4th and you'll win $5. But if you can get 5 wins and 1 draw, which I did this tournament, then you'll win a lot of money. So when you're playing an American Swisses, no matter how strong they are, you need a lot of points. And when you play in round robins where everybody's about the same strength, you don't need as many. For example, on Monday, when Wesley So once again proves his dominance over the world and wins the Norway tournament, which hasn't started yet, most of the top players in the world, I think maybe the top 10 players in the world, maybe there's one missing. So you're going to have Carlsen and Wesley So and Fabiano and Hikaru and the rest. That kind of tournament, when Wesley does win, he probably would just win with 2 wins and 7 draws. That's probably enough. If he wants to make a statement and become higher rated than Magnus, he might need 3 wins and 6 draws. But nobody's going to get like 5 wins and 4 draws or 6 wins and 3 draws. That doesn't happen at the top level. So since this is a open Swiss tournament, you can't be drawing games. And in those kinds of tournaments, like the Norway tournament, if you're black, you're pretty happy with the draw, and then you try to press with white. Okay, here I have to press with both colors because I'm higher rated than most of my opponents, and I want to win the prize money. So this is a very good position for black for that reason. I have 2 bishops. The pawn structure is asymmetrical. I have more pawns in the center. My pieces are very active. I have the open g file for my rook. You could argue my king is in the center. My h pawn is isolated. I have double pawns. My bishop on e7 can't go anywhere. Okay, so that's a double-edged position. And if you're playing for a win, you need positions like this. Unfortunately, when you have terrible players and terrible people, like let's say Sam Shanklin, who's both, you just get a lot of quick draws. There's a tournament going on now called the Capablanca Memorial. Unfortunately, Capablanca had a lot of draws. But if you follow that tournament, the players should just be ashamed of themselves. There's a lot of 10-move draws. And I don't mind a 10-move draw if it's the last round and you're getting first place, then you want first place. Sounds good. But, I mean, it's a double round robin. It's 10 rounds. And more than half the games are 10-move draws. So that's, I mean, if I was the organizer of that tournament, I would just get somebody to beat up the players. I guess I could do it myself. You don't want to give players appearance fees and prizes in a double round robin with 6 players and then have quick draws. The reason is, for example, if you have the U.S. Championship and U.S. Women's Championship at the same time, which they usually are, you have a lot of games going on. And there is a 30-move draw rule in that tournament. But even if there wasn't, and occasionally you had a one or two games that were quickly drawn, there's a lot of games going on. So if there's 12 games going on and there's 2 quick draws, like who cares? In the Capablanca Memorial in Cuba, there's 3 games going on. So if you have 2 quick draws, it's a terrible thing. And if you go look now at any point at the tournament online, I watch on Chess24, but you can watch on Chess Bomb or probably a lot of other sites. At least half the games are less than 15 moves, and they just play a quick draw. So that's unfortunate. Anyway, Ivanchuk's going to win the tournament like he always does, and I guess Sam is going to come in 3rd or 4th because the other Cuban players aren't as good as he is. Okay. Anyway, we don't see that in the games that I show because I show wild and crazy games like this one. It gets crazier. Okay, that was my commercial announcement, and I got a little Sam Shanklin dig in there, so that's the important thing. Okay, knight f1. Now we see the point of rook e1. The knight has the f1 square. I think he actually wants to go to e3. And I played rook c8 because my rook's good on c8. I decided not to castle, that my king was pretty good on e8. Knight e3, queen b4. Maybe I'll sack the exchange. I like to play rook takes c3 in the Sicilian. And e4 pawn is not defended. Queen's pretty safe on b4. Nothing can attack it. f4, attacking my knight. Knight g6. And f4 is a double-edged move because it gains space and it attacks, but it also opens up white's king. It opens up the dark squares, and I have a dark square bishop and he doesn't. So f4 is a pretty dangerous move. f5, back to e5, trades on e6, and then plays queen h5 check. Well, this was the point of f4, f5, and this would scare a lot of people, especially novice players who have to castle, like my mother. If she doesn't castle, she's pretty unhappy. In fact, she's already unhappy because she's playing chess, so that's already not good. But if she's playing chess, which makes her unhappy, and she doesn't castle, that's too much unhappy. Then I would have to get her a cup of coffee. That would make her feel better. Okay, so I played king d8 because I was in check. And, well, again, my king's pretty safe on d8. I have everything in front of it. And he played queen h3. Queen h3 is a really interesting move because normally you don't look at retreats as being aggressive, but this is a dual-purpose move. The queen defends g2 and f3, so he doesn't have to worry about anything. And he's also attacking my e6 pawn with his bishop and his queen. Okay, so the game's pretty interesting. Probably a lot of you at home would like the white pieces because black has some weak pawns. Black's king is on d8. But you know that I'm black and that I won the game, so you're all confused. Luckily, you were confused before the video started, so nothing really changed. In fact, if you voted for Trump, then you're really confused. And even worse than voting for... No, wait a minute. I can't complete that sentence. There is nothing worse than voting for Trump. Yeah. Let's see. Kathy Griffin, is she worse than Trump? Wow, I don't know. I don't think so, but she's trying. Okay. Anyway, what was I saying? Kathy Griffin, Trump, The Simpsons, Family Guy, Seinfeld. All right. House of Cards. By the way, more important than this game and Donald Trump and all that is Chris Cornell. He's the greatest. And you probably don't know that at home because you don't know anything. Go to the internet, which you're on right now, by the way, if you didn't know, and look up Chris Cornell. He committed suicide in Detroit because that's, when you go to Detroit, it's not good chances you're going to make it. And he was, of course, the lead singer for Soundgarden and Audio Slave, and he did an album with Temple of the Dog, which you don't know about. But anyway, he has a lot of really good stuff I didn't know about before he committed suicide. He has a lot of unplugged, like, where he's just playing by himself in the studio, even live, in concert, where he's just by himself and he's playing acoustic guitar, and he does a lot of covers. I mean, they're really good. You can find them. I don't have to tell you where to look, but if you can't find them, just ask me in the notes and I'll send you some links. But maybe, you can figure out how the internet works at some point. Okay, so that's basically the most important thing you can learn is how great Chris Cornell was, and you're welcome. Okay, so I played move d5, which will confuse most of you, because my king is on d8, so if my student played d5, I would be furious. But that's because my student made me furious with all the previous moves they made. Ugh. Okay, And the point of d5 is very simple. I want to play d4. See, that you can understand, 4 king, 2 knights. And my bishop on d7 is making it difficult for his queen on h3 because they're lined up. And whenever you got pieces lined up, like a bishop and a queen or a rook and a king, usually that's advantageous for one side or the other. So white actually has some problems here. Okay, so he played king h1, which gets his king off of this file. And of course, I played d4, as I said I would. And he played bishop takes e6, attacking my rook, although not really, because his bishop is pinned. So if he took my rook next move, I could play bishop takes his queen. So I'm not really worried about that. So I play queen takes b2. I could take either knight, but I thought queen takes b2 was better because I'm threatening queen takes knight, rook takes knight, the pawn takes either knight. And I got rid of the defense of his knight on c3. I took a pawn. And I thought that was a better move than taking his knight. I'm not sure if I'm right, but at the time, that's what I thought. And again, these are the kinds of games where even if it does lead to a draw, the spectator's pretty happy. And I have a funny story about spectators that I'll tell you a little bit later when it's relevant. Okay, you guys still awake at home? Okay, good. All right, bishop takes d7. I took the knight on c3. I could have taken a lot of stuff. Now, material is equal. It's actually exactly equal because I took the pawn on b2 and he took the pawn on e6. I took the knight on c3. He took the bishop on d7. But I'm threatening everything. Pawn takes, rook takes, knight takes. Okay, and we're getting into time trouble here, which is fair. He played queen e6, attacking my rook on g8. Also, he's unpinning his knight. Okay, and when I played queen takes b2, I saw this variation. And I realized after rook takes e3, queen takes g8 check, king takes d7, that I'm up 2 pieces for a rook, which should be winning material-wise. But it looks like white has a winning move here, and I realized that winning move loses. It's not a winning move. It is winning, but it's winning for me. And I figured it was a good possibility he would fall into it because he was in time trouble, and it's very difficult to find the refutation. Turned out I was correct. But even if I wasn't correct, I think black is still winning here. I just have 2 pieces for a rook, and there's no pawns for white. White's king is stuck in the corner. White has 3 isolated pawns. My knight on e5 is just a fantastic knight. But he did blunder. He played rook e to b1. And the reason this is funny, I was talking about spectators earlier. You probably weren't paying attention. But I was giving a lesson to a Class A player in Flint, Michigan, maybe a year or 2 after this game. And I showed him this position, and I said black to play and win. And he thought for about 3 minutes. He goes, wait a minute. I remember this position. I was watching this game with a friend, and we were like, oh, man, Finegold's getting crushed. And then you played this move, and we were like, wow. Okay, and then, like, it's funny, it took him 3 minutes to recognize, like, all that, even though I was giving him a lesson, it was me. Okay, anyway, point of the story is, if I make a normal move, and I can move my queen anywhere, let's take a pawn. Then he plays rook takes b7 check, and queen d5 mate, as I like to say, with advantage. If I move my queen to c3, it's the same thing, and there is no other safe square for my queen. And this is the kind of position I like, and when I give a chess lesson to a private student, I explain there's 2 kinds of winning positions. There's the kind of positions you get at home, where you're either ahead or you're behind like 7 pieces, and the engine says every move wins or every move loses. It doesn't matter what you do. However, at the higher level, when grandmasters and IMs play, normally when somebody is completely winning, that just means their opponent missed a move. And if they weren't completely winning with the move that they played, there is no other move that wins. So there's 2 kinds of winning positions. There's one where you're up a lot of material and everything wins. Doesn't matter what you do, which is a lot of weak players' games. Then the grandmaster level, normally when you're winning, it's because you have one move that wins and your opponent missed it. And that's the case here. Although probably I am winning here if he doesn't play rook b1, but it's still close. But it ain't close anymore. So in fact, if you don't play the winning move for black, you are losing. So he thought he was winning, and until I played the next move. So pause the video if you haven't solved it yet, and you haven't. and try to find the winning move here for black. I'll wait. Anything in here? Well, maybe some iced tea. Let's see, what should I do later? Oh, you guys are still here. I'm sorry. Okay, the winning move, which I'm sure you found. I wish I could get some surgery so I could roll my eyes more. Is Rook A3. Bam! Recommended by Emerald. And the key to the position isn't what you thought it was. You guys thought the black king was running around king d8, king d7, and you were like, oh no, the black king. When in fact, it's the white king that you should have been worried about. The king is stuck in the corner with no luft. And somebody asked me yesterday in my video to explain the German terms. What am I, German? Okay, I mean, there's Luft, Zugzwang, and Zwischenzug. Am I done? Okay, I guess there's finger failure, but you guys don't know what that is. Okay, so the point is the back rank is weak, and he has 2 rooks on the back rank. So if I can get a queen or rook on the back rank, I checkmate him. And Rook A3 wins the game because not only did I stop Rook takes queen, because I made him, but he has no defense to his rook on A1. His rook's trapped, and it can't be defended. So if you found Rook A3, you're a winner. And if you don't find Rook A3, well, then white's winning. The game ended pretty quickly. He gave me a spite check, and I got it a check. Pretty good. Check me again. I got a check again. And now he realized his only other reasonable check is queen g8, and I play king a7. So, okay, and now he's incredibly losing. In fact, I don't even know what to tell you. I don't know. I guess rook g1 and then queen takes c7. I mean, anyway, it's plus a lot. It's almost forced mate. Probably the engine says it's like plus 10. But black's completely winning here. And my opponent resigned. I don't know if he made time control or not, but he realized after Rook A3 he was losing. It's a tough move to meet when you didn't see it and you thought you were winning. It's a real bolt from the blue. Well, I hope you liked that game as much as I did. Again, that was against National Master Dennis Seawald, Michigan player. Been one of the top 10 players in Michigan, I'd say, for the last 20 years at least. In fact, this game was over 20 years ago. I don't even think he plays chess anymore. I think he played in the 90s and 2000s, and then he sort of stopped. I don't know if he moved or just stopped playing. But, yeah, Dennis is a nice guy. We used to hang out a lot in Ann Arbor. Okay, well, again, I'm going to St. Louis tomorrow, and I'm going to start doing camps and being the Grand Master in residence there next week. My son's birthday is on June 9th. He turns, don't tell me, I know. Don't tell me. He turns 26. And I have something special planned, which I didn't tell him yet. That's going to be on Friday. So I'll let you guys know, but I don't want to say it here in the video because then they'll find out. Okay, go Frank Underwood. You can do it. I think I'm on episode 9 or 10 of the season. I'm almost done with the House of Cards season. Then what am I going to do? I guess I can watch Better Call Saul. That's going to come on Monday. Yeah, okay. So I got some stuff to do. All right, see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Don't forget to donate. We need to buy some chess clocks, and those ain't cheap. So remember, the more you pay, the more you learn. This is Ben Finegold. I'm dropping the mic. I'm out.